Hi, I'm Donna Jordan from Jordan Fabrics. Today we're going to make a quilt. I got the idea for this pattern from one that I've made before called Charming Stars. So this is one we've done in a video. It's a free pattern we have on our website. And I thought if I change the corners a little bit, I can get a nice secondary pattern when I expand this into a quilt. So here's the block that I came up with. So let's go ahead and get some fabrics and get started. Now this pattern uses fat quarters, and I'm going to use this bundle from Robert Kaufman that's called Gilded Blooms. It looks a little Christmassy, the colors are Christmas colors, but it's just floral prints, and that'll make a very pretty quilt. You're going to need 12 fat quarters, 6 of them light, 6 of them dark. Then we're also going to need a dark print for the border and cornerstones and a light print for the sashing. Now let's take a look at the fat quarters in this bundle. I have more than I need, so I'm going to pick the ones that will work the best. Stripes can be hard to use, so I'm not going to use the stripe. So I need 6 lights. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's use those for lights. Now the darks here, we've got some different colors. Again, I'm not going to use the stripes because they're a little bit hard to work in. And I think that of these darks, the green would make a really nice center square. So we'll put this one aside for the center. And then we've got 5 here. Since I have more, I think I will work in an extra, because if you've got more fabrics, you can always use extra so that your quilt has a little more variety. You definitely want to iron up all of your fat quarters so they're nice and flat before you cut, because that way your cutting will be nice and accurate. Now, since this is my pattern, we've got it for free on our website, so you can click the link right below the video and get the pattern. So if you're cutting this for yourself at home, you definitely want the pattern so you have all the numbers. Just to give you an overview, I've got 5 darks here, and they're all going to get cut the same. Then I've got 5 lights that are going to get cut the same. Center squares have a different measurement, and then we need a few more strips out of that last light. Now the cutting is really easy. From the darks, I got 5-inch squares and some 1 3/4 strips. From the lights, I also got 5-inch squares and then some 3-inch strips. From this one dark we're using in the center, 4 1/4 squares. Then we took that last light and cut it into 1 3/4 strips. The first thing we're going to work on is our quarter square triangles. So we have to make half square triangles so we can make quarter square triangles. So we are going to mark the back side of each of these light squares. We're going to make a diagonal line right from corner to corner. Now I'm going to use a pencil. There's lots of good marking tools. So go ahead and draw that line on the back of all of them. So I'm going to the machine. I've got all the lights and all the darks in the 5-inch squares. We're going to take one light, put it on top of a dark print, doesn't really matter which one, line everything up, and we're going to stitch a 1/4 inch away from that line on each side. So my presser foot is a 1/4 inch, which is nice. So I can just carefully go down one side and then back up the other. And go ahead and do this with all of your squares. Now we're going to cut this right across our drawn line. And now we've got 2 half square triangles. Now we need to iron them. So put them with the light side down. Carefully peel it open so that you can keep that seam nice and straight. I like to use a dry iron and then some steam. So you want to be careful when you open it that you don't get your seam going up or going down. You want it straight across the middle there. So just be a little careful. Press it with your fingers first. Dry iron. And then some steam. Now we're going to pair up our half square triangles. I'm just going to get 2 different ones. And I'm going to draw a line on the back side of one of the pair here. So I'm just drawing again from corner to corner. put your squares together here, dark on the light, light on the dark, and our seam allowances, because we pressed everything to the dark side, they're going in opposite directions. So this is going up, that's going down, and you can feel with your fingers, these seams are meeting up all the way along here. And now I'm going to stitch again on both sides of that drawn line. Again, we are going to cut right along the drawn line. And what we have now, when we open this up, look at that. We've got a nice patchwork square there. These are called quarter square triangles. Now is a good time to trim off these dog ears. I really like stitching the next steps with all of these dog ears trimmed off. So I'm just taking my scissors and cutting them all even with the edge. So go ahead and do that with all your blocks. Now we're going to work with our strips. We're going to make some strip units. The first one we're going to make has one of these wider lights and one dark. Then we're going to make another strip unit with two of these light strips and one dark right in the middle. So put this narrow dark strip on top of that wider light one, edges lined up, and you want to make sure that you don't stretch either one. You want to just line them up carefully on top of themselves and stitch a 1/4 inch away all the way down. Now we want to finger press the seam allowance toward the dark. So we're just going to peel this over, and I'm going to hold it open with my hands and then draw my fingernail, or even the pad of your finger, right down that seam. So I'm stretching it with the kind of the palms of my hands here, and that'll make it real easy to iron later. So that one's done. Now this one, we've got a dark in the middle, so let's sew this first. Again, finger press toward the dark print. Now let's put this last strip, the light on top of the dark. Even though we finger press them, we're still going to want to iron them. So I usually use a dry iron and then some steam. Now these are all going to get subcut to the same measurement. So that gives us the opportunity to cut several at a time. So I will line my first piece up on one of the lines. Then I'm going to take another one, and I'm not going to put it right on top because the seam allowances might make it too thick. So I'm going to move it up 1 inch, and I'm going to get another one. And I can keep going up the cutting board really as far as I would like. So I don't have very many layers in one spot, but I can get these all cut without having to make a lot of different repetitious motions. All of these strip units get cut to 1 3/4 inches wide. Now I'm going to use my weight up here to hold down my ruler because that'll keep it from sliding around. So I've neatened it up, got all those selvages off. Now I'm going over 1 3/4 inches. And I'm just going to keep making cuts all the way down the strip units. This block is going to have 2 of these guys with 1 of these in the middle. So let's sew this first. Now all the seam allowances are going towards the dark, so they're automatically going to be nesting here. And that's the only intersection in this whole line here. Now I'm going to want to press my seam allowances away from the middle. So this first one is going to go to the left. Now this piece fits right on here. and press this seam away from the center so it's going to the right. So go ahead and do that with all of your little pieces here and make 48 of these blocks. We are now ready to lay out our star blocks. So this one's going to go in the middle, and we're going to put 4 of these around the outside of that. So just pick 4 different ones. It doesn't matter what colors they have. You can switch them around if you think it looks more balanced like that. But put the light side of these blocks up against the green. Now we're going to get 4 of these blocks. And again, you can switch them around. Maybe we want this with a red up against the blacks there. And the idea is just to get different ones so you have a nice variety. Now let's stitch it together. I like to lay out one block at a time right here next to my sewing machine. And I'm going to flip these pieces over and stitch all the way down here without taking the pieces off of the machine. So be careful you don't twist anything. Now there's nothing to match in there. And these blocks are exactly the same size, so it's real easy to stitch them together. So stitch these 2 and leave it right on the machine. Then grab the next pair. Again, don't spin it around, just pull it straight over. And then grab the last 2. This helps make sure that none of the pieces get turned the wrong way, because I'm not moving them, I'm not making separate rows. I'm keeping everything connected. Now, slide that over. All we have to do is open this up. And now we're just going to add this piece. So this one gets flipped over and put right there. Again, there's no seams to match. It's just real easy to stitch together. Now flip this one over and put it right there. And then the last piece. Now all we have to do is stitch our rows together. So I am going to open it up, make sure that everything looks correct before we stitch the rows together. Now for pressing the seams, in the middle row here, everything is going to go towards the center. And on the bottom and top row, the seam allowance is going to go to the outside. This way, everything will nest when we stitch those rows together. So all we have to do is flip this over and stitch down. Now we've got one intersection right here. Again, the seams are nesting, so it's pretty easy to match up. I'm not even going to pin it. And then one more to match right here. So once you get both those long seams done, there's your block. And you can see it's pretty easy to match up these intersections. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch up all 12 of the blocks, and then we can get the quilt laid out. Now I'm all ready to lay the blocks out. So let's see what this is going to look like. Now if we put the blocks right up next to themselves, they look beautiful, looks great, but I think it's really going to look a lot better if we pull them apart a little and put sashing and cornerstones between them. So let me lay out the blocks first, and then we'll get those sashing and cornerstone pieces. Now we can really see the secondary pattern, which is these chains that go through the quilt in the diagonal directions, in both directions. And so that just makes a lot more interest than just the blocks themselves. So the blocks are really easy to make. All the components are very simple. And then when you put the whole quilt together, it's got a nice look. So I'm going to sew all this together and get the borders on, then we can get it onto the quilting machine. I have the whole top finished, and I thought I would get it onto the quilting machine. You can see we've moved the quilting machine from the retail store down here right next to where I sew, which is awesome, but it's not quite ready to go yet. But that's okay, because I can still show you the whole top here. I went ahead and put just one border around it, this nice big floral print, and I did a big border. I think it looks really good. And you can see now even better those chains of little squares that go all throughout the quilt, the stars in all different patchy reds and blacks. Really happy with how it came out. This is just a great example of a quilt where you take simple blocks. It's a very simple block here, very simple block here, combine them together and then add that sashing and cornerstones, and it really makes the pattern just sing. Now I had some extra squares and I thought, I wonder what this quilt will look like if I use the squares in all different fabrics in the middle of each block instead of using a green in every block. And I really like how that looks also. Can't really decide which way I like it better, with all green or with a scrappy look like this. So leave me a comment, let me know which version you like better. Now there's one more thing, we're gonna have another giveaway. So we've got a quilt called Sugar Cookies. Now this is one we've already had a giveaway on, but for some reason we waited about a year and the person who won it never got a hold of us. So we're gonna try again. So this is a quilt we did in a video, show you how to do it. It's really easy. It uses charm squares and it's a nice big throw size. And it's real easy to enter the giveaway. Just click the link below that says giveaway and it'll take you to our website. You can put in your email address and your name. And remember, we can send this quilt to whoever wins it anywhere in the world, so good luck. Now, if you like our videos and you want to support us, the best thing you can do is subscribe to our YouTube channel. That would really help us out. Happy quilting!